Hi Mount Prospect Park District, welcome to Studio Saturdays. My name is Miss Lisa. I hope you're all well and safe at home. Today I'm planning to make a cardboard colorful bird. Come join me. For your supplies, you're going to need a background color. You're going to need some leaf color, perhaps a flower color. If you haven't already printed it, go ahead and print out the stencil for tracing your bird. You'll need some tacky glue or school glue. You'll need some paint, paint brushes, a palette. It can be a palette like this, or like we've talked about in previous videos, it can be a paper plate or a piece of foil. You're going to need a stick for your bird to sit on. You're going to need a marker or two for adding some designs later. And that's about it. Oh, and a pair of scissors. That would be actually very helpful. And one more thing, a box. A piece of cardboard that you can cut your bird out of. So whether that's your last Amazon delivery or the last Walmart delivery that you got, that would be great. My suggestion, if you have young children, corrugated sometimes can be tricky to cut. So if you have something that came out of an old picture frame or a cereal box, that's another option for you as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Move this out of my way. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut out your stencils and you're going to want to trace them onto the cardboard. Now, I do have a suggestion. When you're doing that, you want to make sure that when you trace them opposite the side that's clear, because you want to make sure that when you cut them out and you go to paint that you don't have all those words in the background. So make sure that when you're putting them down and you're tracing your lines, again, that you're doing it opposite and you're tracing where the words are. All right, here is our sample so you can see. I've got all mine traced so I can go ahead and cut. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Okay, our next step is we're going to take those 5 pieces and you're going to start to paint them. Design your bird how you're going to enjoy him. So I've got the white part of his eye is the bigger circle, and then the smaller one goes on the inside. And if you notice, I do have a little white highlight dot on his eye. You can't add that until your paint is actually dry. So go ahead and wait. And I actually went ahead and I pre-painted all of my bird parts. I've got the first coat on so that I can finish it off with you. So the one thing that I just talked about is you want to possibly add that highlight to his eye. It just gives it another, just adds to it. I just think that it makes the bird look that much better. So I'm going to go ahead and add that, and I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. And then I was thinking that in order to show that his beak is 2 parts, I'm going to go ahead and put a line down there through the middle. That's going to be his wing feather, and then I have his tail feather. So his tail feather, let's give him some stripes. Yeah, you know what? I think I needed a darker green. So I'm going to go ahead, since I don't have one handy, but I do have a marker. I'm going to go ahead and add some stripes right here on his tail. And again, I can only add that because when I went ahead and I did my paint, that first coat is dry. So be patient. If you're not patient, I can tell you that a blow dryer works wonders. Now, for some really easy polka dots, take the back end of your paintbrush and and dip it in the paint, and it very nicely makes almost a perfect polka dot every single time. Alright, if it's not making a good polka dot, go ahead and dip it back in your paint. You just don't have enough paint on there then. Alright, so his tail feather is done. And depending on how you put the tail feather, it does give him a different look. So I'm going to go ahead and on his wing, I'm going to save time, I am going to go ahead and use the marker as well. But you can paint. You don't have to rush through the project. Take your time. Walk away from it while your paint's drying, or ask mom or dad to blow dry it for you. That works too. And then once everything is painted and you're done with painting and adding designs, you can go ahead and glue the pieces together. I'm using tacky glue, but school glue would work as well. Put his eyeball together. And then glue that down. All right, for our next step, we are going to work on our background. So for the background, I do have a couple of suggestions for you. This one I did with a paintbrush. And anyone who's taken kindergarten art step-by-step drawing with me will have learned that we love to make all different types of lines. So what we do with this one is what they call a swirl. You can do that with a paintbrush, or at the art studio we have a fun supply that is a tempera paint stick. You can order on Amazon, you can order them through Blick Art. You can get these at Michael's. What's really nice about this tempera paint stick is that it dries almost instantly. So I'm just going to go ahead and give us a fun little background. And if you notice, I can go right back over it and I can rub, and there is no waiting. So if you get impatient, these are a great little supply to have on hand. The kids love them every time we pull them out. So they're just a lot of fun. They work well. So all right, so my background is just about done. I'm going to need to take my stick next and figure out the placement of where I want that to go. And when I do that, I want to make sure that I'm going to have room for my bird. And I'm actually okay if something goes off the edges every once in a while. So, let's see. I'm going to see if I can make this, I'll make it upside down for me so that it's right side up for you. Oh, his tail kind of fell off, so I'm just going to stick it back on. All right. And again, I didn't wait, so now I smudged my little polka dots. So be patient when you're creating your artwork. There is no necessity to rush. So you want to make sure that when you put the glue on him that you have enough on the back side. And another thing that's important is that you go all the way around the edge. Don't necessarily need to have a ton of glue in the middle. If you've got the edges, he will stick. Okay, I'm not going to add any on his tail because his tail is actually taller now since it's on top of his body, and it won't help me to get it to stick anyway, because it's not going to touch the paper. So the stick is a little bit tricky. When you go out to your yard and you pick one, try to get one that's kind of flat. And then you're just going to have to put a lot of glue underneath the spots. Watch where it hits the paper so that you can be sure that it's going to stick. The other option is ask mom or dad if they've got a hot glue gun, if they can just hit the paper for you and glue that part down so that you won't have any challenges. But it looks like it's gonna stay. Okay, now for our leaves. A nice easy way to make a leaf, I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna fold my paper in quarters, okay? So I have 4, so it's in quarters. And then now that you've cut cardboard, cutting paper that's folded multiple times is gonna be super easy. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut that in half. So I still have my quarters. And once I've done that, I'm gonna just take and fold it a little bit. And you can trace individual leaves and cut them out. I just thought it would be easier to cut 4 of them at one time. So by folding it into quarters and cutting it all at once, you get a bunch of leaves. So decide how many leaves that your picture is going to need, and then take those leaves and your marker and add a design to them. Give them some texture, give them some dimension. So I have a purple marker, and that's okay. Art is whatever you can dream up. So I went ahead and I have some of these pre-made. I also made a few out of the second color green so that I can just go ahead and using my glue or even a glue stick. A glue stick would work for this part. You can go ahead and glue down your leaves. Now, if you're going to want to attach any leaves actually to your stick, you're going to need a nice amount of glue on here so that it will adhere. But it's kind of fun that it looks like the leaf came with some greenery on it. So go ahead and put a few on here as well. I would really love it if you guys decide to make this project that you come back and post it for me. Share it with me so that I can see it at hashtag MPPD Studio Saturdays. So I'd love to see your artwork. I miss having all of you guys in class. It would be awesome. Remember that this Monday we are going to have new DIY art kits available to order. You just go to the website and through web store and you can come through the drive-through. I've enjoyed seeing all of you and picking them up. And for now, I think he's going to be done.